Okay, now let's discuss about the Article 25 to 28, which talks about right to religion. Now, let us first read. We have discussed Article till 24 of the Constitution of India. Now we will going forward and discussing our right to religion. Now, first read, then we will discuss what the Article 25 says. Basically, Article 25 says that freedom of conscience and free profession, practice, and propagation of religion. So basically, first let us summarize the Article 25, 28, 25, 26, 27, 28. Basically, these all are type talks about religion. The first one is talks about right to religion for individual, and the second one is talks about right to religion for community basis, and the third one is talks about no compulsion to pay tax for promotion specific religion. And Article 28 talks about in certain educational institution, restriction on religious worship and instruction. So basically, Article 25 talks about right to religion for individual person, and also Article 26 talks about right to religion for community basis, and Article 27 talks about no compulsion to pay any taxes for the propagation of any specific religion. And Article 28 talks about in certain educational institutions which are funded by the government or half funded or any type of funding given by the state cannot practice any religious worship or instructions of religious community of religious guidelines. Now let us discuss it one by one. So Article 25. Article 25, what it says, first read it, then we will discuss it in detail. So Article 25 says that subject to freedom of conscience and free profession, freedom of conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion. So basically it talks about all person have right to follow any religion, freedom of conscience. Basically, whatever they think, it's only depend on whatever they think with respect to religion. It's person's right. The person is free to think and to give opinion on particular religion. So basically, freedom of conscience, freedom to practice one's religion, freedom to practice religion and propagate the religion. And also, it also carries, according to this article, carrying, basically you have seen that Sikh community carry the Kirpan because to handle any equipment which is dangerous or which can lead to violence is prohibited in India, but Sikh community can carry the Kirpan because it is basically followed from the religious perspective. So basically carrying Kirpan for Sikh community is also a part of right to religion under Article 25 of the Constitution. So basically, freedom of conscience and freedom of one's profess and one's religion and freedom of propagate. So basically, it refers, if you are saying that every person have freedom of religion to practice any religion or to propagate any religion. So basically, inherently, it also refers to convincing others to join one's religion by preachers, teaching, writing, plus one can also express goodness of their religion. So basically, if you are saying under Article 29, it include freedom of practice any religion, propagate any religion. So inherently, it also includes that it refers that everyone can convince other person to convert in other community, to convert, also convince to other person from their own religion. Plus, they can also preach and teaching and can also express goodness of their religion. And it also inherently include right to openly tell to rest of the words one's religious belief by verbal or by non-verbal act. So basically, under Article 26 of the Constitution, 25 of the Constitution of India, it also includes that you can convince other person by propagating your religion, by convincing others, or by preachers, or can you also tell the goodness of their own religion. And it also inherently include that you can openly tell about your religions and religious belief in front of any person, in front of their religious belief. Now, but freedom of conscience is also inherently include absolute inner freedom of a person to entertain, believe, doctrine that he consider inclusive to spiritual growth. So basically, you can also, under the freedom of conscience, you can follow any religion. It's your personal choice, it's your personal matter. In whatever religion you believe, for your spiritual growth, you can follow. No one can tell you, no one can force you, no one can compel you to follow any other religion. It's totally your choice, whatever you want to do with, but you cannot restrict others' religion. Basically, you cannot harm others' religion, but it's your completely inner soul, whatever you think with respect to another religion, you can think, but it should not be disturbed to the public order. But so therefore, these all rights has been restricted because they are not absolute rights, so they are restricted. What are the ground of their restriction? Ground of restriction. What is the ground of restriction? So basically, grounds are public order, health, morality, and others' fundamental right. So if you are practicing any religion, so others' fundamental right cannot be violated while practicing your religion. Public order should not be disrupted. Any other's person, health, or any other issue should not be affected. Morality should not be affected. So basically, these are the grounds on which your right to religions can be restricted. And under this article, it also include right to take out religious procession. So basically, it also include right to religion to take out religious procession. What is the religious procession? Basically, you have heard that Muslim community in particular day they go out and create religious procession. Basically, in Hindi you say julus. So they create this julus, but it can be restricted on the ground of public order, morality. It should not affect another others fundamental right. It should be not affect health of any person. So these are the grounds on which your fundamental right under article right to religion under article 25 can be restricted. Now what about anti-conversion land? What about anti-conversion? Basically, you have heard about that Muslim community and converted in Hindu, or Hindu converted to anti-Muslims by forcing or changing the ideology of any person. So basically, what about the anti-conversion? So now, but Supreme Court stated anti-conversion, what about anti-conversion law? It is unconstitutional or not? So basically, discussion is going to happen. It is constitutional or not? So in 1970, MP government, Madhya Pradesh government, make a law that declared, MP government declared that conversion by fraud or by coercion or by indulgence will be a criminal offense. So basically, if you are convincing other persons, if you are converging it by fraud, if you are converging by illegal activity, if you are converging by indulgent activity, if you are converging by coercion activity, then it will be considered as criminal offense. It has been declared by MP government, not by other governments. So in this case of Stanislaw versus State of MP. The case has been gone in the Supreme Court in the case name Stanislaw versus State of MP. Supreme Court reiterated. Supreme Court basically said that this law is valid. So, because right to freedom of religion is not absolute, because right to freedom of religion is not absolute, and it can be violated against public order. So basically if you are converting any other person by fraud, then it may lead to the disturbance of the public order. So Supreme Court stated that you cannot right to freedom under Article 26, 25 is not an absolute right, so it can be restricted on the ground of public order. So basically, it has been mentioned in the Article 25 of the Constitution of India. Now let's read Article 25(2). What the Article 25(2) says: nothing in this article shall affect the operation of any existing law, prevent the state from making any law, regulating or restricting any economic, financial, political, or other secular activity which may be associated with religious practice. So basically, Article 25, Clause 2, Subclause A, Article 25, Clause 2, Subclause A, what this says, basically it allow the state to make regulation on economic, financial, political, or other secular activity associated with religion. Associated with religion. So basically, Article 25, Clause 2, Subclause A states that state can make a law or state can make a regulation or state can make a guideline on the economic activity, on the financial activity, on the political activity, or other secular activity which can be associated with the religion or cannot be associated with religion or can may influence the religion. So it allows the state to make regulation, rules, law, any other activity which related on any other activity which related to economic, political, financial, and other secular activity which associated with religion. So what is the example of that? Example is that let us suppose there is a temple where uh, on the behalf of secular activity state have interfered in the temple activity. So let us suppose there is an administration of temple. There is an administration of temple and state make a law on the administration of temple. Basically, who will be the person, who will be the priest, who will be the administrating authority, who will be the head, who will be the chief of the temple. So basically, state interfered in the matter of religion. Basically, if you are appointing the administration of the temple, then inherently, indirectly, you are interfering in the matter of religion. So, and state make a law on administration of temple for the appointment of priest. Let us suppose for appointment of priest, who will be the priest? It has been appointed by the state. Appointment of priest, and this is the secular activity because appointment of priest is nothing related to right to religion. Basically, religion is a separate thing and appointment of priest is a separate thing because it has been seen that who is the priest is generally belong to Brahmin community. So state can make a law that Brahmin community and also other communities should allow to be a priest in the temple. State can do it because it is nothing related to religion because there has nothing has been mentioned in the any way that only the Brahman person will be a priest. It can be other person, it can be any other persons who can be a priest of any temple. So Article 25 clause 2 subclause C says this. Now reads about Article 25 clause 2 subclause B. What the Article 25 clause 2 subclause B says that nothing in this article shall affect the operation of any existing law, prevent the state from making any law, providing for social welfare and reform, or the throwing open of Hindu religious institution of a public character to all classes or sections of Hindus. So basically, it also allows the state to make a law. So it also allows the state to make the law or regulation for purpose of social welfare or reform for open Hindu or any other religious and Hindu religious institution that is even religious activity can also be regulated. So this has been mentioned in the Article 25 clause 2 subclause B. So basically example, what is the example? Basically in this Supreme Court or the Parliament has made a law. Example, prohibition of sacrifice. You cannot sacrifice any animal or any person on the mere demand of the god. So prohibition of sacrifice, abolition of child marriage. So basically these are the example. I think it will be clear to you. Now let's read about Article 26 of the Constitution of India. Now we have discussed Article 25 clause 2 subclause A, Article 25 clause 2 subclause B. Basically both, what are the Article 25 clause 2? Article 25 talks about freedom of conscience or any, basically Article 25 gives the right to the individual, not to the any other community. Basically Article 25 gave the right to any individual person under Article 25 under Article 25 clause 1. It says that every person have the right to follow any religion, to practice any religion, to follow any consign, whatever they believe on any particular religion, they can believe on it. No one can tell, no one can argue, no one can claim how, why, and when will you practice this religion. Now, Article 25, Clause 2, Subclause A. But Article 25, it's also include you can propagate your religion, and you can preach the religion, you can do whatever you want. But state can make a law to interfere in the in your religious matter. Basically it allows the state to make any regulation on the economic activity, financial activity, political activity, or any other activity which related to secular. State can make a law on that if it is associated with the religion. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर अगर बात करें, स्टेट जो है टेम्पल के प्रीस्ट के अपॉइंटमेंट के लिए इंटरफेयर कर सकती है, बिकॉज इट इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम राइट टू रिलीजन. बेसिकली अपॉइंटमेंट ऑफ प्रीस्ट is nothing related with religion. It anyone can be a priest, because if there is any other person who is the priest of the temple, then religion will not be affected, because whoever the priest will do the prayer. And article under Article 25 clause 2 subclause B, it allows the state to make the law or regulation or the uh, notification for purpose of social welfare, reform for open Hindu religious institution. Basically if there is any discrimination, if there is any marginalized sections who is underprivileged under the religious institution, so state can make a law for the upliftment or the welfare of the social रिलीजियस रिफॉर्म, अगर अपन एग्जाम्पल की बात करें तो प्रोहिबिशन ऑफ sacrifice or abolition of child marriage, sati pratha, etc. So this can be happen. Triple talaq, it also example. Basically, you can say triple talaq. Now these are the article which has been mentioned in Article 25 clause subclause A, 25 clause 2 subclause B. Now let us discuss about the Article 26 of the Constitution of India. Then we will discuss the various court judgment of the Supreme Court of India. So now first discuss about Article 26 of the Constitution of India. Now, Article 26 of the Constitution. Let's read first, then we will discuss in detail more. Article 26 talks about freedom to manage religious affairs subject to public order, morality, and health. Every religious denomination or any section thereof shall have the right to establish and maintain institutions for religious and charitable purpose, to manage its own affair in matter of religion, to own matter, acquire movable and immovable property, to administer such property in accordance with law. So basically, Article 26 give the right to religion for the community purpose. So right to religion for community. What the Article 20 says that again it is not absolute right. I will discuss what are the ground. It's not absolute ground, absolute right. So basically, what the Article 26 says that every religious denomination shall have right to establish their institution for religious and charitable purpose. Plus, they have also right to manage the religious affair. Plus, they have also right to acquire movable, immovable property. Plus, they have also right to administration such property accordance with law. So basically, Article 26 gave the right to the community to basically what is the denomination? Religion within the religion. So basically subgroup of religion. You can say Buddha, Sikh, Jain, Parsi. These are the religious denomination and Hindu. Now, every religious denomination shall have the right they can establish their institution. First, under Article 26, every religious community have the right to establish their religious institution and have the right to manage their religious affairs and also have the rights to acquire immovable, movable property with respect to religion, and it also gives right to administration such property, but it should be administered by law, not by in arbitrary manner. So Article 26 says right, it gives the right to community to maintain and establish the institution first. It also gives the right to maintain the religious affair. It also gives right to acquire movable. immovable property. It also gave right to administration of such property, but it should be by law. Now, these all the rights are not absolute in nature. Okay, now let's discuss. But what do you mean by religious discrimination? So basically, subgroup of religion and religion also. So basically, and who will decide that it will be a religious discrimination or not? So then Supreme Court said, I will decide. मैं क्यों बैठा हूँ? क्या राज बैठा रखा है? मैं भी तो जिंदा हूँ. Supreme Court stated, I will decide for identification of religious denomination. That has been basically said by the Supreme Court. Now it should be clear.